because I worked with Sam King for more than 30 years. He and I set up the Windrush Foundation in 1995. If Windrush Foundation suddenly disappeared, it'll be difficult for people to remember those who came on the ship. They are the ones who set up a foundation for us who are here now. Pubs were not allowing black people to go in and order a pint. White friends had to go in, order a pint, and you come outside and drink it. He might have been the first black person to have even bought a house. They were thinking of diverting the ship to East Africa for them to pick peanuts.
Really?
I came on a different ship, and I really can't call myself Windrush Generation because first, my name is Arthur Torrington, and I am a director and a co-founder of Windrush Foundation, which is an organization set up in 1995. I think that's important to know in the sense that Windrush has been happening for many years, and it's not just a word or a story that happened, let's say, in 2018 when we had what is called the Windrush Scandal. I think the Windrush Scandal brought to light that there was a Windrush story for the people who were listening in 2018. But Windrush has been happening, and the stories have been happening since 1948. You see, 1948 is when a ship by the name of Empire Windrush landed at Tilbury Docks. And it had maybe, over 1,000 people coming from the West Indies. Now, all of them were not West Indians, but people were coming and going. And in that particular case, more than 1,000 were coming over for different things. So on that particular ship, you had a good number of people, perhaps a majority, I'm not too sure, who are of Caribbean origin. All right. Now, I use the word West Indian and I use the word Caribbean because they are different things. When I use the word West Indies or West Indian, it incorporates Bermuda, which is in the North Atlantic. And that was a British colony, you see, and it's still a British colony. So in that sense, we've got to differentiate between Caribbean and West Indies, and in the sense, the people coming over. So the majority of people coming over, we're not very sure, but a good number of people coming over were of African Caribbean origin. Okay. All right? There were people coming over who were of Indian, Indo-Caribbean, there was Chinese Caribbean, Irish Caribbean, and different things. So the Caribbean is, as you may well know, is a multi-ethnic place. And therefore, those coming over in 1948 reflected that Caribbean flavor. Okay. You see, so what generated from there is a Windrush story, people coming in, and what people don't realize as well when they talk about Windrush Generation is that they're also talking about the people who served in the war, right? Because if there was no war, you wouldn't have a Windrush story. Yes. All right? So war and Windrush actually go together, and we always say something like, no war, no Windrush. Okay. That's right, because the Germans have owned this ship that they called Monte Rosa. The Germans, that was a German ship that was used during the war. They were using the ship as a troop ship during the war, and and after the war was won by the Allies, Britain and the Allies, which meant that when you lose the war, you lose everything. So Germany lose all their ships and everything, you see. So they lost many, many ships, obviously, maybe dozens of ships or hundreds, I don't know. But in this particular case, Britain changed the names of the ships. So from the name Monte Rosa, it was changed to Empire Windrush. Oh. So that's how the name Windrush got stuck on that on the boat, on that ship. And the thing about it is that Windrush is the name of a village and a river in Gloucestershire. All right. Okay. So Windrush is a particular place. There's a village Windrush. There's a Windrush River or River Windrush. Okay. You see. So you're looking at the history in a big, in a big way. So whenever you hear Windrush Generation, it's a lot of meaning.
Right.
Mm. It's a lot of meaning, and even in itself, with the words or term or labeled Windrush Generation is how you define the actual Windrush generation. Who are they, you see? Now, from what I know, because I worked with the guy who created the whole idea about Windrush, his name is Sam King. He's no longer alive, but he's the one that came up with the idea of commemorating the arrival of the ship.
Okay.
On the 22nd of June, because he was on the ship. He was a member of, in other words, he was a passenger on the ship. He was also a person who served in the war. So a war veteran is coming back on the ship, and then he eventually comes up with an idea of commemorating the arrival of the ship. And that arrival then is commemorated every year on the 22nd of June, and that started in 1968. It didn't start in 2018, as I think the British government often tries to tell the public, you see. It started long before. Windrush Day, right? That is the day. It's not a holiday, but it's a day that is respected, not just by the government, because the government only came into the picture in 2018. It was going on with Sam King in 1968.
Oh my God.
That's important, you see, and he gets the credit. Not the government, because after all, that's what, you know, they are claiming Windrush Day. They're claiming it as a national Windrush Day, you see. But really and truly, they've given a sanction to a day that has already been in place. And we have the documents to show that.
Right,
right. Oh yeah, we got paper clippings, we've got commemoration, we've got photographs and stuff. So there's no denial when you actually, you know, look back at the history. We've got the documentation that we can show the public. Well, look, we've been doing it so long before, and the government has now come and claiming as though that, you know, it's their doing. And in that sense, they're giving the impression that they're appeasing the public, because people were very angry, you see, in 2018. They were angry that the government were treating people who came from, well, mainly from the Caribbean, treating them unfavorable because they didn't have documentation.
Yeah.
If they came as children, when the parents brought them over, and they don't have documentation, they're still British.
Yes, right.
Because the parents actually came with British passports, and were legally British citizens by all means. You see, and therefore their children automatically take that status.
Right.
You see, they were born British. And not only that, their children were born British as well. Those who came with their parents, you see. So it's a big story.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking that's 50 years, you know, so from 68 to 2018, that's 50 years. And in that time, it's given the impression that it's gone unrecognized, you know? Do you think that the anger that people feel from 2018 onwards, do you reckon that it's soured the celebration of us coming over, you know?
Yes. It's still sour because, you see, there are people who are demanding compensation.
Yeah.
And there may be thousands, we don't know how many more, actually will need compensation. And that they're due compensation. So the government hasn't paid everybody yet.
Right.
You see, they've allocated, I think, like one third of a million, or I can't remember how much though, but they actually allocated something like, I think, 300,000. No, I'm wrong. They've allocated something like 300 million.
Okay.
Right, for compensation. So that's like a third of a billion.
Yeah.
Which we don't know if all that's going to be paid. Maybe more or less, we don't really know. But so people are angry because at the time, what they were doing, they were putting people who didn't have documentation in detention centers.
Oh,
right? They were putting them. Sometimes, you know, some of them were actually deported.
Goodness me.
But they didn't have documentation. Some of them lost homes, some of them lost jobs, some of them lost national health facilities, and so on. Although they were British citizens, you see. And it's because the government brought in a law, and the law was brought in when Theresa May was a Home Secretary. But the scandal, happened when she was a Prime Minister, Theresa May.
Okay.
You see, so she was the one really to set up this whole thing that they call the hostile environment.
Oh my
That was the name given to this particular kind of law that came in 2012. And therefore, under that law, these people of Caribbean origins, and later on we found of African and Asian origin, were found out. They deemed them as illegal immigrants.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and they, as I said, no national health, you lose your job right away, and that's happening all over the place. So compensation now, they're entitled to compensation, but then in the same year, what the government did was to say that Windrush Day would be like a statutory day. Windrush Day, like I have St. George's Day,
Right.
St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
Holocaust Memorial Day, St. Lawrence Day. Windrush Day became Windrush Day through, just around 2018, that the government instituted.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. In other words, what we were doing privately, or not so much privately, with the Windrush Foundation, what we were doing commemorating Windrush Day,
Yeah.
they've not taken it over.
I see. So with the Windrush Foundation, you were already
We're already doing it.
doing it.
And we were doing it in a particular way. We had commemorated the people who came on the ship.
Ah, yes.
That's the thing. That's the difference. But what the government did in 2018, they eventually twisted it and said, well, we're going to commemorate everybody.
Oh no.
And change the focus of the Windrush Foundation. Because after all, those who came on the ship came with a purpose to lay a foundation for me and you, either were born here or you came into the country at a young age. And that's what happened. They are having Windrush Day in a way in which it's like carnival.
Ah.
It's not a carnival.
Right. No.
It's a
at all.
serious thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when the men and women came in 1948, the amount of overt racism that they faced, that you and I wouldn't face it today, you see. And that is the kind of thing we want to help young people to understand.
Okay.
That the early days were difficult days.
Yeah.
Racism was in your face. People can tell you whatever they like and do whatever they like on a racial, in a racial way, and nothing could happen to them.
Yeah. Oh, serious. There'll be no punishment.
They can abuse you and nothing happens, you see. You can't take them to court. There's no law. There was no law. There was no race relations law. So what these people came and did in the early days was to fight and lobby and campaign for race relations law.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what happened.
I imagine you would have experienced.
Oh yes, indeed. I came as a boy when I was when I came over. I was a boy in the 1960s. Wow. You see, which meant that I was coming over like 10 years after, more than 10 years after the Windrush landed. Oh. You see, and between those years, you're looking at a lot of things happening, and I was undergoing things that the men on the Windrush ship underwent. And the men and women underwent, you see. Yeah. So I knew what that was.
Okay.
Yeah. The racism in your face was absolutely horrendous.
Goodness.
But today we have laws that doesn't happen. It happens in a different way, where you can be discriminated against in indirect ways, you see, and people can get away with it because they can twist the law and get away with it. But during those days, even the judges, would rule in favor of police or rule in favor of other people because you couldn't prove that it was race.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you see, so that's the kind of thing. So we would normally commemorate Windrush based on what happened to those men and women and what they did about it.
Right, okay. Oh, I see.
Whereas the government allocated something like £500,000 every year to be put into projects that they prefer. And these projects could be anything. It can be a domino tournament for Windrush. Right. It could be carnival. It can be a cricket match for Windrush.
Right.
I mean, those guys, look, who came and wanted to play cricket, they couldn't get a ground to play. They didn't want black people in cricket grounds. Even now, we have problems with the English Cricket Board and coloured people. I said coloured in the sense of, well, let's say brown and white people,
Right.
in that sense.
Right, yeah.
So brown and white and black.
Yeah.
But, you know, you call them, well, yeah, you call them black and brown people.
Right,
Right.
right,
Black,
yeah.
you know. But what has meant is that what's happening in cricket is affecting the Pakistani people from Pakistani origin. A lot of them want to play cricket for England. And there's been a restriction, all kinds of different things happening to dissuade them from wanting to play for England.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, well, and that's been, you know, decided on eventually, and the cricket board had to admit that they need to do more. You see, but in the early days, it was nobody. I mean, it was anybody couldn't get a cricket a ground to use. So a lot of our people had to play. Well, I suppose somebody who is nice to them, they're able to hire the ground.
Wow, so
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
favors, through,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
that's right. You see.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
You see, so, but that's been, that doesn't happen as much now because of the laws. If it's shown that there's racism, you know, there's a punishment, you know, a law against that. But people had to fight for it.
Okay.
That's the most important thing, you see. And what happens with this, the funding that the government gives, is that the government would actually look at these applications and they would decide which things to fund. Because when you look at the government funding guidelines, you know, on the internet, it does, you know, stipulate the kind of projects that could be funded, you see. And what's implied is that if it's an anti-government you know, saying project, it's not going to get funding because, after all, the government is funding it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You see?
So they have control.
Yeah. But you see, you can be doing anti-racism projects without saying it's government.
Right.
You see, but it can be done. But because, after all, let me put it this way: there is the Stephen Lawrence Day. The project that they do is an anti-racist project,
Right.
without any doubt, because Stephen Lawrence was killed by racists.
Exactly.
And whatever they're doing, what the project is doing, what the Windrush, not Windrush, but what Stephen Lawrence Day Trust or Foundation is doing, they are actually saying, well, look, this is what happened to, you know, our son Stephen Lawrence, and it's because of racists.
Right.
You see,
Exactly.
who came in. And not only that, these racists, well, most of them, I suppose, are, you know, got away.
Yeah.
I think two of them were, two of them were, two of the, I should say, the killers were convicted, but there's still 2 or 3 out there.
Right.
You see,
Alive, still out there?
out there, yeah, who are lying low, you know, because they are murderers.
Yeah.
You see, and the one that is now he's asking for parole, he's asking to be let out. There's a big inquiry, you know, to see whether he should be let out.
Yes.
And the Stephen Lawrence family is saying, well, no, because he hasn't declared who was the killer, who stabbed him, who stabbed Stephen Lawrence.
Right.
He knows who stabbed,
And he's not.
and he's not talking. You see, that's the kind of thing. So really, racism is still there.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, it is still there because preventing people to live a clean and not so much a clean life, but a proper life, a safe life.
Right, right.
You see, while this is happening, there are killers over there. You know, you don't know what they're gonna do, what they have done, what more they've done.
Right, right.
You
Exactly.
see. So coming back to the point about funding for Windrush Day, you see, it's difficult for a funding organization, well, for an organization that wants funding to outrightly do certain things or apply for funding and say certain things
Oh, okay.
as to what they're doing.
Right. So they
Because
there's
the government decides, you see. But whereas a good thing for Stephen Lawrence Foundation is that they decide how they present the projects.
Okay.
And it's anti-racist.
Brilliant.
And it's helping people to develop. It's a development project, you see. Now, there's another project, there's another organization called the Holocaust Memorial Day Trust,
I've heard of that.
right? And they decide how they develop their, you know, what's that now? I think this...
Is it anti-Semitic?
Anti-Semitism projects. They decide.
Wow.
And that's where the government obviously allows them to get on with it.
So there's a difference.
It's the difference.
See
Indeed.
that
You see, and that's why you see Windrush Foundation is not happy with the government because, they're treating people indifferently.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You see what I mean? In other words, in our particular case, what we really want to do with Windrush Day is to show people what happened to these people when they came, to show how people live. And this is showing people whether they are of Indo-Caribbean, Chinese Caribbean, or African Caribbean. Those 3 or 4 different people, how they have been treated throughout the decades to now, and how they should be better treated.
Great.
Right, because after all, they were always British.
Right, yeah.
The history goes back, to the 1600s in terms of the connection between the West Indies and Britain. 400 years plus, you see, whereby our African ancestors were taken there to the Caribbean, to the West Indies, because Africans were taken to Bermuda, you see, which is in the West Indies. And that connection was there. So there's a long history. And therefore, because of that history, because of what Britain gained from the West Indies, and after all, what they gained was money and resources and wealth. They became an empire through the West Indies.
Goodness me.
Without any doubt. They've never doubted that. You see, so in that sense, I would say that all that kind of thing that we want to say on our project, and obviously, it would touch the government.
Absolutely.
They won't want to fund us. Or we've applied twice for funding, you see, and it was rejected.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
As the Windrush Foundation?
When we first applied for funding in 2019 and think 23, it was rejected. That they felt that the applications weren't, strong enough.
Oh my!
Although we created the thing.
Yeah,
that's right. That's the kind of nonsense that they actually told us. So we haven't applied again. I mean, we get funding through the lottery, National Lottery Heritage Fund. We get through them, which is fine because they know us. They know that we created the idea.
Oh, great!
Because we worked with them for 20 years now.
Right.
You see.
Well before.
So we were established.
Yeah.
You see. So in that sense, the whole Windrush Generation idea is an idea of people coming from the West Indies.
Okay. Right.
And they're not African Caribbean, not just Black Caribbean. They're also Indian Caribbean, Chinese Caribbean, Irish Caribbean, Scottish Caribbean, because all of these people were in the Caribbean.
That's phenomenal.
And the West Indies, you see. And they were coming over, some of them were coming over, to make a living.
Yeah.
To do better than they were doing in the West Indies, So the Windrush Generation is a big topic. You see, and another thing that the government has done is that they expanded this Windrush Generation to include people who came to the country between 1948 and 1971.
Okay.
That's what they say. Well, I mean, that's not the original year. You see.
Yeah, that's...
The original year is 1948. Because after all, people who, look, I came on a different ship, all right? And I really can't call myself Windrush Generation because I came on a different ship. That's the thing. It's the ship that actually carries the name.
Right.
The people who naturally are that generation kind of belonging are people who actually came on the ship.
That specific ship.
That's right.
Ah, I see.
Right.
So it almost limits what we're really talking about here.
That's right. Let's say, for example, there are people who actually let's say they were born in Brixton, for example, and then there were some people who, came into Brixton and maybe stop for a while and then move out. I mean, you can't call them all Brixtonians because those that belong to that sort of nucleus of people in Brixton, they're Brixtonians and they have that history behind them and the name of the place, and that kind of thing.
Right.
And that's how Sam King created it. Because I worked with Sam King for more than 30 years, you see.
Really?
Yeah, because he and I set up the Windrush Foundation in 1995.
Oh my goodness.
We set it up, and it was set up, in terms of better race relations. We can promote and to set up the people who are coming from the West Indies, setting them up really and promoting them as pioneers who came into who came back, well, who came to the country, well, to make a living and to help to rebuild it.
Amazing, amazing.
So that is the Windrush story. That's the Windrush Generation story.
Phenomenal. And meeting Sam King, was that something that happened? Did you meet because you both had the intention of creating this, or did you meet before that? Were you friends before that and the idea
Yes.
came through?
Indeed. So in 1995, I'd known Sam King for about 10 years. Let me see, 1995. Because I met him in 1983. So you're looking at 12 years, okay? I'd known him 12 years before. So because he knew me and what I was involved in and organizing things and events, he said, look, he wants to work with me. And I said, yes, let's set up an organization. We named it Windrush Foundation. We signed all the company and charity forms, and we became a legal entity in that sense, you see, to promote the arrival of Empire Windrush, to promote the service that these men and women did in the war and coming back and making a life for those of us who came later.
Amazing.
That was the idea, and that was the story of Windrush.
Yes. So it was always not only the ship, but it was always the ship plus the war plus...
Absolutely. War and Windrush.
War and Windrush.
That's right. Because in fact there was even an exhibition by the Imperial War Museum called From War to Windrush.
Oh.
An exhibition. That exhibition was in 2008, commemorating 60 years. And let me see now, it was... it was held in London, that's true, and it included those people who came on the ship and those people who served in the war.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a wonderful exhibition, I have to say. And the exhibition really attracted a lot of people, thousands of people, especially children.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was meant to be only for 3 or 4 months, this exhibition, and it went for a year.
See, that is amazing.
It's quite so, you see.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's right. So the Windrush story really is a story it's a British story. It's a British Empire story, obviously. But it tells a story, and we are telling it with a point of view of a West Indian side.
Okay.
That's the point of view.
Yeah.
There may be other point of views, but the point of view from our side, in terms of coming over, bringing about change as we came over, and no doubt lobbying against the government, right? To change laws, to bring in race relations law, equality laws. Eventually, it became, you see, and that is due to the fact of the presence of people from the West Indies and India and Pakistan and Africa.
Wow.
There was a joint effort in the 1950s and 60s to have these laws in place.
Wow.
In fact, there were race riots, in 1958,
Okay.
over the fact that there were white youths who came and wanted to actually, I would say, beat West Indians out of Notting Hill.
Oh my goodness.
So these white youths, they actually, they rioted in the sense that they took up arms and when I said arms, I mean things to hit and affect people.
Yeah.
Many black people in Notting Hill, and there was this riot these riots in August and September, and a lot of people went back to the Caribbean and the West Indies because of that. Because the idea, you see, of these white racists, their idea was to beat them out.
Okay. Yeah.
Not to lobby them out or get laws to get them out.
Nice.
To beat them out by force.
Good.
But of course, they lost.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the black community and the mix. I mean, there was a mixed community. A lot of black men and Asian men married to white women, whether Welsh or Scottish or French, and the white wives would fight against these against these white racists. Of course.
Oh my goodness.
That's right.
So there was a collective
Oh yeah, there was a
response.
collective community there in Notting Hill to beat out the white racists.
Oh my
beat them
goodness.
out. And they did beat them out.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah,
That's
they didn't come.
incredible.
They didn't come back.
They didn't come back?
No.
No.
You see, because they were beaten out. But the following year, I don't know how many white racists were among those who killed a young man by the name of Kelso Cochran. And he was killed on the 17th of May, 1959.
Oh, no.
He was killed. And the murderer has never been charged.
Really?
Or the murderers, because he was stabbed. Well, he was stabbed by one or two people, stabbed to death. He died, and nobody was ever brought to justice.
Oh my goodness.
You see, all that kind of thing, you see, is what we really want to tell when we talk about Windrush stories.
Yeah.
You see, because the man who got killed was the same age as Sam King.
Seriously?
Same age, yes, young men in their early 30s.
Oh my.
Yes, early 30s they are, you see. And he was killed for no reason, going home late at night, and then, sprang upon him, stabbed him, killed him.
Oh my goodness.
Killed him the following morning. You see, so all that kind of thing, you see, is a Windrush story because there was a lot of elements in it.
Absolutely.
You see, so whenever they talk about Windrush Generation doing this and doing that, they were in hospitals, they're on the London transport. They usually beef up this Windrush Generation thing, you see, giving the impression that, well, oh, look at this, and a lot of people get kind of anxious and kind of patronized, you see, and they feel, well, oh, this is a big thing. But it's not a big thing. Because it's about people who served, who came back and how they were treated.
Right.
Windrush Generation is not me and you. It's not that. It's not you and me. I mean, we are of, let's say, African or Caribbean heritage. But the point there is that, we need to see two different things: the people who came on the ship and their story, and the legacy,
Okay.
and our story.
Okay.
We have a different kind of legacy.
Right, I see.
Our legacy is a legacy of where we take off in terms of whether you're involved in this and involved in that. It's in our time.
Right.
That is your legacy.
Oh,
My legacy is not 1948.
Right, okay.
That's Sam King's legacy.
I see. So it's right now. It's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, we create our own legacy.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's right. You see, and what I think is being mixed up is that people are saying, well, here is the Windrush Generation. Well, they're not. They could be of African or Caribbean heritage.
Yes.
You see, but not Windrush Generation. The Windrush Generation are the people, most of them have passed away because they are the ones who set up a foundation for us who are here now.
Okay, I see.
Because a generation is only like 25 to 30 years.
30 years.
Really?
Yes, yeah.
You see, and after that generation is gone, another generation takes over.
Yeah, exactly.
1, 2, 3, 4 generations after all. Let's say, you have the children, the children's children, then, that's how the generation go by.
So there's this impression that that they're giving that it's like a continuous long, thing that's
like this
happening.
Windrush is continuous.
Right,
no,
but it's not that.
No. And I think this is a big mistake. For example, there was an exhibition in Windrush Square, which is in Brixton, and they had these kind of portraits of people, and they're calling them Windrush Generation.
Yeah.
Well, that is not really correct. That's a false representation because these are people who benefited from the people who came in 1948. And not only that, the Windrush Square was renamed or named Windrush Square because of the people who came on the ship.
I see. Right. Right.
So it's a falsehood to have people whose faces are there saying, well, here are the Windrush, here are the images of the Windrush Generation. Yeah. But you're not having pictures of people who came on the ship.
Right.
And they didn't have any.
Goodness me.
All that they had was people who are still alive, mainly who are still alive,
yeah.
And who live in Brixton.
It seems like there's this pattern of overlooking, you know what I mean? And pattern of the people that came on the ship, they were overlooked even in their time.
Indeed.
And even today,
yeah,
it's in the name of those people of the ship, they're
That's
still
correct.
being overlooked.
That's right. Because if Windrush Foundation suddenly disappeared, I mean, it'll be difficult for people to remember those who came on the ship because we are the ones that do it.
Ah, I see.
Because lots of other organizations, they're not bothered with people who came on the ship.
Yeah.
They're not bothered with them.
No.
They actually commemorate like their friends and their fathers and mothers and stuff like
Okay,
that.
I see.
You see, who did not come on the ship. Because after all, you see, the thing about Windrush Generation is a kind of a, you have the natural, for me, what is called the natural or the original Windrush Generation, and you have what can be called like a kind of an emblem or some kind of a, not so much spiritual, but a kind of, I'm trying to find a word, that's right, a symbolic set of people.
Right.
In other words, saying, well, they are like the Windrush Generation. But what they don't say is that they are like, but they think that they are.
They are. Oh, I see.
because some of them had similar experiences of racism.
Okay,
That's true. Yeah,
yes.
that's all. But what they don't have is that grounding,
Right.
that foundational kind of base.
Right.
Because those who came on the ship, you see, helped those who were coming over after them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But what people don't also understand is that there were some people who were on the ship who had advice from, let's say, people who already came and served in the war, and who said, well, yeah, why not go over and try your luck, you know? And that's how, and those who actually came over on the ship, on the Empire Windrush, from what we read, there's a book written by the late Donald Hinds, and Donald actually said that those who came over, served in the war, and came back on the ship, they were the ones who were like, what's the word you use now? The pioneers and the actual trendsetters. And, yeah, and that's written in a book, and the book is called Journey to an Illusion, 1966, written by Donald Hinds. So all that kind of history is there.
Yeah.
To show how those early pioneers laid that foundation and made sure in their, I suppose in their lobbying and campaigning, that the next generation wouldn't suffer what they suffered.
Okay.
And therefore, our organization, Windrush Foundation, has been set up to remember that.
That's phenomenal. I remember when we spoke on the phone, you mentioned that there was a specific person who settled in Lewisham, I think it was, and by the name. Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that one. That's a thanks for reminding me.
No problem.
Now, this gentleman, his name is Wilmot George Brown, and that's important to know. Wilmot George Brown. Now, he's called Uncle George.
Okay.
And that's everybody knows Uncle George, not Wilmot or Brown. Uncle George came on the Empire Windrush, right? And what I didn't mention to you before was that Uncle George, at the time, of course, he wasn't Uncle George, but at least he spent his first night in the Clapham South Deep Shelter. Now, there were more than 236, mainly men, who didn't have anywhere to go. So the government housed them or accommodated them in the Clapham South Deep Shelter, which is one level below the Northern Line, under Clapham South Station.
Goodness me. The same Clapham South
Whenever
Station.
you pass Clapham South Station, there were people who were living underneath the train, really. The train is running at one level, and they were living for a couple of weeks below it. So you couldn't sleep at night, in the mornings, I mean.
Right.
Even at night, because the trains are going all around.
Yeah.
And, whenever, let's say you look up at the ceiling, that is where the train is.
Oh,
And
wow.
running, and you're sleeping there.
Yeah.
So Uncle George had to sleep for maybe a couple of weeks. And in the book, he also, wrote his memoirs. He said that he couldn't really sleep, and he was absolutely, anxious to get a place to live.
Yeah.
And that's how eventually he ended up living in Lewisham.
Oh, I see.
He eventually got a place, accommodation temporarily and so on, until eventually he was able to buy his own property. he might have been the first black person to have even bought a house outright and be a freeholder in Lewisham.
My goodness.
Yeah, Uncle George. And but he had problems getting the house, because what had to happen, you know, there's a lot of white friends that he had, and they were able to, they were very well, you know, justice conscious, these white colleagues of him. And so white friend had to go in to take the mortgage form into the mortgage office and said to them, well, this is a mortgage thing, and pay for it. But it was Uncle George. It was Uncle George form for the mortgage. Because
right.
if he had gone in there, he wouldn't have got the mortgage.
Okay, goodness me. So he had to, through...
He had to get a white friend. And that's how he got his house.
My goodness.
Yeah. So when he went in to pay, and those guys in those days, you pay cash. You don't take your card out or whatever. You have to pay. You have to pay cash for a mortgage.
Oh.
So he said, well, a house? Yes, my house.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And he was his trade, did he have a specific trade that
Yes.
he took from Jamaica?
Indeed, yes. He was a well-qualified bricklayer.
Oh, fantastic.
So whenever he was doing bricklaying, there were crowds around him, people, black people doing bricklaying.
Right.
They were surprised.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, so that wasn't a common thing.
Oh, no, because they never saw black people doing bricklaying.
Oh my goodness.
They never felt that we could do bricklaying. Because after all, you know, look, people in Jamaica and elsewhere in the West Indies, they were good bricklayers, because when you look at those buildings, those big houses, it was done by black people, by the slaves.
I see.
It was looked down on, you see, bricklaying. But of course, they were the experts.
Wow.
You see, that's why you see in the Caribbean, some of the houses there last so long, because, okay, you have to have architects and these people who design, but then the actual hard work are Africans, you see. Exactly. So this Uncle George, I mean, he was an expert, I mean, a well experienced man, and he was able to, you know, show the others that, you know, he was good at it.
Wow.
Yeah, and no, they couldn't believe, you know, and this is exactly what used to happen in the early days. I mean, there's even one gentleman in, Windrush Passenger in Brixton. He was a sign painter, and whenever he signed painting, people would crowd around.
Wow.
And just, this is a spectacle.
Because they've never seen that before.
But because you see, you know, maybe, you know, they think that, you know, we come from trees and whatever. It's like a monkey doing sign writing.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
That is how it was with those pioneers. And that would have been happening like for the next 10 years or more, until more people began coming in and so on after 1948, you see. But such is this whole thing called Windrush. It is the story you want to tell.
Right. Absolutely.
You see, because if one doesn't know that story, especially if you're of Caribbean heritage, you don't have that base, you don't have that identity. You don't know who you are, where you're coming from.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that is what happened really in the early days. And that's why we specialize in helping young people to understand, and anybody else, understand the story of the people who came on the ship.
Oh,
and because after all, what the government is funding, and when you look at the list of the things that they fund, is nothing to do or less to do with the people who came on the ship.
right.
They're forgotten.
Absolutely.
In other words, you don't see them saying, "Oh, I want to commemorate the life of, let's say, Uncle George."
Yeah.
You don't hear that.
No, I had never heard of Uncle George.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think the actual place that Uncle George lived in is somewhere. Is it Breakspear Road in
Really?
I think that's his first house.
That's unbelievable. And he settled in Breakspear Road in Lewisham, and so never to go back to a shelter ever again.
Well, no, the shelter closed after 4 weeks. The shelter closed. Okay. Everybody got after all. I mean, you can't live forever in a shelter. So those men got jobs and better accommodation.
Great.
You got a job, let's say it's £1 or so a week, or I don't know how much per week for the rooms, and that's what they would do.
Wow.
Get out there and get a job and get accommodation.
Right.
Because some of them had got jobs but didn't have accommodation, but eventually they got accommodation because they had jobs.
Okay.
But the main thing there was that you could not stay in the shelter
Okay.
for more than a month.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
we couldn't,
I see.
well, because
Yeah.
it's closing after a month, you see, because after all, the government had to kind of have staff and so on to manage that accommodation, you see.
Wow.
Yeah, so really and truly, that early life is forgotten with these government funding every year that ignores that history.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you know, we're against them for that, you see. We are against, no, we are not happy at all about the government and their behavior when it comes to Windrush Day.
Right.
Oh yes, indeed. Because what they've done, they've kind of corrupted, you know, what we started in helping young people to understand, especially Caribbean background, whether Indian, Chinese. They're preventing that kind of understanding
Yes. Yes.
deliberately.
Oh, I
can tell you
see.
that,
Oh,
deliberately.
so that's that. There's an intention behind that. There's
I would accuse them of that because
Yeah.
I was on a committee way back when that whole thing started, and I said, "Oh no, what the government intended to do is wrong."
Yeah.
And I have that in writing. I have emails to show that I made a fuss about any change in how Windrush Day should be, I would say, should be commemorated.
Yes.
You see what I
Absolutely.
mean? Yeah. So I've got these things on record. So really and truly, you know, the whole thing about this thing called, you know, Windrush Generation, I think there needs to be a better understanding, and I think, you know, I've been able to give you an idea, you see, of that. You have a good record, really, on you know, a recording, and that we've got all that evidence, you know, in print.
Yeah. Okay. And that's what I think is so essential, that it's there. It's in record.
It's
you know.
there. The records are there.
It's
you
proof.
see.
Yeah.
If it's not there, it's at the National Archives
Okay.
and different places, and there's a Black Cultural Archives.
Yeah.
They also have some records because they were, you know, well, they got records from us, what they picked up, and different things like that. You see.
Yeah.
Now, what I didn't mention about Uncle George was that he was the one that started the what should I say? Well, getting this sort of racial sort of thing banned from pubs.
Really?
Pubs were not allowing black people to go in and order a pint.
Yeah.
So white friends had to go in, order a pint, and you come outside and drink it as a black. In Lewisham, absolutely.
Seriously.
That was happening in Lewisham, yeah, in the 1950s and maybe early 60s. You see, until these, but I think at one time, you know, they had this big protest, and you know, I think Uncle George and some of his white friends, you know, they got police, all kinds of different things to get these pubs to open up
Oh my.
and don't serve black people.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and that was going on,
Yeah.
not only in London, but it's going on everywhere.
Yeah. And so I get the impression that he had influence in, you know.
He had a lot of, because he was working with people locally, he was working with local councillors, the mayor. I mean, in the book that's written about him, the book is called From Windrush to Lewisham. That's the name of the book.
Okay.
Yeah, and that book, I think you might look at the internet, you might find that there may be second-hand copies that you could get.
Absolutely.
It was actually written and produced anyway by I think the families of Uncle George. A lady, I can't remember the lady's name now, but she, I must get her name right. Rose, that's right. This lady's name is Rose Fowler, and Rose Fowler, she is the niece of Uncle George.
Okay.
Rose Fowler. She lives in Lewisham. Rose lives in Lewisham, and she was the one that actually. She may well still have copies of the book, but it's a wonderful book. I mean, I tell everybody that lives in Lewisham, you get the book,
Right. Yeah.
or get you know, Rose to get it republished.
Absolutely.
Or put it on the internet.
Yeah,
You see?
yeah.
Let people know, because it's a part of British history,
Exactly.
part of Lewisham history, an essential part of one pioneer, who made a difference
Yes.
to change things.
Yeah.
You see?
And is there any, in his memoir, is there any speak of where he got to in his life, like how his life kind of ended? You know, was that in Lewisham as well? Or?
Well, what happened with Uncle George, at one point, I think he felt that he needed to go home, to get back to Jamaica. And that's what he did. Because after all, you see, he came to this country at an older age than the average. The average was about 25 years.
Really?
Of the people who came. Oh, average age. There were young people who came.
Yeah.
Some of them came at 17 and 18. You see? And even younger, some as young people. Now, he felt that he needs to go back. But you know, when he went back, life wasn't the same. Oh. You see? So a few years after, you know, he passed away.
Really?
Yeah, but you know, he left a legacy.
Absolutely.
He left a legacy.
Yeah,
you see.
Absolutely.
And you know, I go around and I talk about it, and I say to people, we want this book to be far more known, even in schools. It should have been in schools. Because I remember lobbying the mayor of Lewisham. I think that was 2000 and I don't know, in 8 and 9. I can't remember when it was. I got him, and they republished it. I think he paid for the publication of it. Yes, and he got Joan Animadu, who is she is the publisher, her company, and it was published. Oh. So you might well still find some around. From Windrush to Lewisham.
Windrush to Lewisham.
From Windrush to Lewisham, Uncle George. Yeah, wonderful story.
That's unbelievable.
Now, on the Empire Windrush, there was a gentleman by the name of Harold Wilmot. So Harold Wilmot now was RAF. He came over, and he could also see him on television being interviewed. He's the guy that talks about, working and sending money back for his mother. Mm-hmm. That, whenever you listen to the Pathé News interview on the Empire Windrush. Now, but eventually, the same Harold Wilmot joined a group called the Southlanders, and the Southlanders was a popular group, West Indian, in the 1950s, and also a chart topper. They were also on the charts, you see, and the Southlanders. Now, Harold Wilmot then, like I said, I don't know, it wasn't number one, it could have been number 2 or 3 or 4, but it wasn't number one. But they had a good run as a group, I would say as a quartet. There was a male quartet. And like how in those early days you had the Black American quartets and so on, quintets, they had this special British version of the Americans. Yeah. So what happened now with Harold Wilmot is that his son became the talented person, and his son was Gary Wilmot. Now, if you ever look at at pantomimes, Gary Wilmot is the man. You'll see his name.
Yeah.
His father was a Windrush man.
And his father was an entertainer as well before him.
That's right. I didn't know his father, but I know his brother. I know. In other words, I know Gary Wilmot's uncle, who was Alan Wilmot, was the brother.
Oh my!
And so Alan was in the group.
Yeah.
Harry was in the group. This is Harold Wilmot. Two brothers in the group, and 2 other people. Of course, these men are men of age. They move on in age eventually, but they've done their bit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lady by the name of Mona Batiste. She came as a Trinidadian. She became a singer. Wow. Well, not became. She was already a singer when she came in 1948, and she dominated Europe.
Really?
Yeah. Look at do your stuff on YouTube. On YouTube, yeah. On YouTube, she's there. Yeah. Mona, M-O-N-A, Batiste. Like Baptist with an E. Right. Now, Mona Batiste, as I said, she became popular. She began to appear on BBC, and she did a lot of. She did records. She's German. I think she could speak German. She can sing in German and other things. So these are the people who actually perform. And there's another person that I should have referred to, Lord Kitchener. Lord Kitchener, the singer, the Calypsonian, London is a place for me.
Yes.
The fact that, Calypso and steel pan music was the genre in the 1950s after those people came. That was a genre, not ska and reggae. So throughout the 1950s, you weren't hearing ska and reggae. That was not up and coming. That was coming in the 50s. But the dominance of the 1950s was calypso, steel pan, of course, American rock and roll and stuff like that. That was the genre.
Wow, I see.
So you got to credit that early generation. And all I'm saying to you is that what the government has done with Windrush Generation, kind of their own philosophy, is to kill that 1950s.
Yes, yeah,
You know,
I see.
or they don't encourage it then in that sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they killed it, but they don't, because after all, they take projects that they favor.
Yes, yeah.
They don't highlight this, the special kind of stories of that generation of people who came on the ship.
Because then they can control the narrative of it by being selective of the projects that.
That they found.
Right, yeah.
Because the fact that they have £500,000, they can decide what project.
Yeah.
But with this Windrush Day, they decided, and that was unilaterally, that they are going to do it their way.
Oh my goodness.
And not show and allowed to be shown the Caribbean story as it should be, or the West Indian story as it should be, in allowing us to have a voice.
When they decided that in 2018, was there any reach out to you and the Windrush Foundation for consultancy on how they could go about it?
No reaching out. Although I was on a certain committee and I raised my voice, I also even wrote a letter saying, this is how I think this thing should actually be funded. No, they don't want to know.
Serious?
They don't want to know. I have my email, and I have a copy of a letter from the government that they think that they need to do it a different way.
A different way. That is...
That is the case. And that's how it was, 2018, 2019, you see. That's how they dealt with it, you see. So what we're trying to do for Windrush Foundation is to get funding, and obviously we get the funding from different sources, particularly the National Lottery Heritage Fund, and we would normally present Windrush in the way it should be presented, which is to do with telling the story of the people who came on the ship.
Yes.
The story of those 1,027 people. We haven't captured every story yet. We've captured of about 200 already of the story. But we are hoping to capture all of them.
Incredible.
But that will take us a long time to do. But people ought to remember, it was an iconic ship.
Yeah.
You see, and the ship was coming. It was coming from the West Indies. And when the British government heard, and this is a Labour government now, heard that it was coming, they didn't even want the ship to land.
Really?
The word was they were Jamaican.
Oh, I see.
They thought that 500 or 492 Jamaicans were coming over, and they didn't have any jobs for them.
And so they did not want it to happen.
Not only that, there was a letter by Labour MPs, members of Parliament, saying that it shouldn't happen. They shouldn't be allowed.
Oh my.
Labour MP. And what they were saying is that if they come and more come, it would kind of like make a difference in British society. It wouldn't be the same. In a sense, they were saying, Britain would no longer be white.
Wow.
That's what they meant.
And that's recorded. That's documented.
We have it. Yeah, we have the letter from the MPs.
My goodness.
And we have a letter and reply from Clement Attlee, who was the Prime Minister, saying, no, you can't say they can't come. They're British.
Oh, wow. Incredible.
And not only that, what is even more laughable is that when they first heard that this ship is coming with 492 Jamaicans, and that was a false number given, you see, by the Jamaica government there, or somebody from the Jamaica government, that they were thinking of diverting the ship to East Africa for them to pick peanuts.
Really?
It's all on record.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So that's years and years after the slave trade, but it's
a colonial kind of setup. Yeah. I mean, look, and all that, you see, the government might not want to fund.
Right. That's not the story that they want to tell, you know?
No. They won't want that.
But
they may, but I doubt it. There's a new government now in. That was a Tory government that did all that for us against Windrush Foundation in 2019. They didn't want to give us any funding.
Yeah.
But we don't know. I mean, let's see what the new government, or let's see this one-year-old government does.
Yeah.
Because things must change.
Absolutely.
The government cannot be seen to be in control of funding that ought to be going to people of Caribbean origin. Windrush is about the Caribbean. It's about the West Indians.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
should not be controlling it.
Right. Right.
I
Absolutely.
mean, it's a shame, you see, that injustice remains.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's, yeah, because this whole conversation has opened my eyes to why the fight has to still happen.
Yes.
Because I wasn't aware of how urgent that fight
Well,
was.
and you aren't aware because, you see, the government isn't allowing the truth to go out there.